You driving test questions. I'm a state certified driving instructor. I teach teens and adults. We're going to go ahead and get this thing going. If you have questions, put them in.
Recording in progress.
All right, you can hear me, give me a thumbs up. Okay, we're going to go ahead and review this. I'm going to read through the first 20, answer any questions you may have. I need you guys to put in some questions about segment 2. What's your next step? What you need to do? We need everyone to actively participate. The session is recorded. I need you to do your best, and you get in what you put out of the class. So go ahead and put in questions you may have about your next steps and what you need to do. I'm going to go ahead and go over those questions. If you are driving down the highway and suddenly discover that your brakes have failed, how can you bring the car to a stop? First, you want to pump the brakes. There's hydraulic fluid in the brake system. Next, you can shift to neutral. That will disconnect the motor and transmission. And then the third one, you can cut off the ignition. By doing that, you're going to cut off power to the engine, and then you can use your park brake. So there's more than one way to slow the car down in case your brakes fail. Always be ready for others to do the wrong thing. In a defensive driving rule, this is true. People may not be paying attention. They could be on the phone. They could be going through an emotional situation. We don't want to assume that people are always paying attention because they're not. So you want to be safe. You don't want to cause an accident. You don't want to kill someone. You really have to pay attention. And that's the biggest tip that I can give you. Cars rushing an injured person to the hospital have the right of way and do not need to obey the traffic rules. That is false. You always have to obey the rules. Just because it's a traffic emergency, the light's red, you still have to stop. The light's green, you still should look. You have to make a right turn. You still have to use your blinker. You want to drive safe. Even if someone's life is on the line, you still want to get there safely, because if you get injured, then no one can really help you. You have entered the highway and pushed the gas pedal down and at the speed of other traffic. Much to your surprise, when you let the gas pedal up, you find it stuck. What should you do immediately to keep your vehicle under control? Shift to neutral. That's going to disconnect the motor and transmission. Apply the brakes. The biggest thing is try not to panic. Those emergencies do happen. Your car could cut off suddenly. You might lose power. Your car might overheat. It might not restart. So you have to mentally prepare. This will happen to me. It's just a matter of when. And you want to be prepared because you're less likely to panic. A lot of beginning drivers panic, and that's when an accident happens. There is a defensive driving procedure called the Smith system of driving. Getting the big picture is one of the big elements in the system. What does getting the big picture mean? I need all of you to type it in. What does getting the big picture mean? Please type it in. Get the big picture. What does that mean? Everyone types it in. All of you online, get the big picture. Type it in. What does that mean? The Smith system. Constantly look around your surroundings. Be ready for potential things. Keep your eyes moving. Each of you should have knowledge of this because you're learning how to drive. You've been driving for a little bit, but you don't know everything yet, and it takes time. Your age group dies the soonest. It takes 10 years to learn how to drive. No, bro, you're 16, 26. You're 15, 25. You're 17, 27. And plus, your brain is not developed to your age 25. So you will be thinking like a child, but you'll be a teenager or a grown adult. But you're still going to make child mistakes. And that's what kills your age group, because you make child mistakes. Your body may look like a full-grown man or full-grown woman, but you do stuff that a kid does. So you got to remember that. Such as wearing glasses right now when we're in a Zoom call, right? That says a lot. I'm just calling it out the way I see it, because we want to keep it real and we don't want to lie to ourselves. So get the big picture. And I don't want to see you guys die because your age group dies first. And there's some things we'll share on that. So you got to remind me. When waiting at an intersection to make a left turn, you should keep your front wheel straight. Because if you get hit and your wheels to turn, you're going to be knocked into oncoming traffic. Oh, that's common sense, bro. No, it's not. Oh, I should know that. No, you don't. Oh, they saw me. No, they didn't. That's not fair. I got the ticket. The officer said you were wrong. And if you're wrong and at fault, you get the ticket. If you don't believe it, you could go to court and fight it. And the judge will listen to you. And if the judge believes you, you'll get the ticket dropped. But you still miss school, you still miss work, and your parents don't trust you. Before turning left, it is important to yield to oncoming traffic. Yield. They have the right of way. Cars coming across. People walking on the crosswalk. People riding bikes. From a one-way street, you usually make a left turn to the curb lane. Keep your turn as short as possible. Beginning drivers make very long, slow turns. You'll get hit. A car's coming through. A pedestrian is judging that you're going to make the turn quick, but you make it slow. Or a car is going across the intersection going fast. They see you turning, but you turn really slow. That's how accidents happen. Intersections are the most dangerous place. You come to an intersection with a flashing red light. You must type in the answer. You come to an intersection with a flashing red light. Type in your answer. What do you do? Everyone type it in. You guys type it in too. You come to an intersection with a flashing red light. What do you do? I have 61 people watching. Type in what you do. You come to an intersection with a flashing red light. What do you do? For time's sake, red means stop. You've got to stop. You got to look left, right, left. If you have a flashing yellow, you proceed with caution. You're probably saying, that's easy. But so many beginning drivers make turns and make a mistake. So what am I trying to tell you? I'm trying to tell you, be cautious at intersections. You're most likely to be driving another driver's blind spot when you're passing them. So get in and out of blind spots quickly. You are driving on a two-way road and see a car stalled out on the road in front of you. When you slow down, you can cut down the chances of hitting another vehicle by pumping your brakes. You want to pump your brakes, just turns on your brake lights, just to let other drivers know there's something going on. I got to slow down. When changing lanes, you check your blind spot by type in your answer. When you change lanes, how do you check your blind spot? Type it in. The same thing for you guys. When you're changing lanes, what do? Type it in. Everyone should be typing in their questions. This is our community. When changing lanes, you can check your blind spot by turning your head and looking over your shoulder. If you make a lane change to the left, you look over your shoulder to the left. If you make a lane change to the right, you look over your shoulder to the right. But so many beginning drivers and older drivers don't do that. You're going to have an accident. And then you will be blamed because you're the younger driver. And most likely the police will believe the older driver. So it's unfair. Then you got to go to court again. Don't go to court. Before changing lanes, you must check traffic around you. How fast are cars going? How slow are they going? Check the traffic around you. Look, check, be aware. For the best view while backing your vehicle in a straight line, you need to turn to your right and look over your shoulder. If you want to back in a straight line, turn to the right, look over your shoulder. When deciding to change lanes or paths, the driver should check the rear view mirror and blind spots. This is maneuverability. Most of you should know this because you're getting ready to take your knowledge test. You're getting ready to take your road test. And you need to know these things. And it's a good review. When you decide to pass on the 2-lane road, you should judge how much distance you have for passing safely. You never want to cut off a car. After passing another vehicle, do not return to the lane until you can see the front headlights in your rear view mirror and you check your blind spot. You are driving on a 4-lane highway. A school bus is going in the other direction and has stopped and is picking up children. You should stop and wait until the bus stops moving and turns off its hazards. To reduce the effects of headlight glare, you should look to the right edge of the road. We're in North America. We drive on the right. There's an edge line or white line to the right. There is a solid yellow or double yellow line on our left. Children are playing on the sidewalk and half of the block ahead of you. You will notice them in time to slow down if you're in the habit of keeping your eyes moving.
Excuse me? If I met my required time for
Then
being
you're
a
good.
parent, am I allowed to leave? All right. Thank you very much.
God bless you. Be safe. Okay, we're going to go over some of these questions. You're good. Bye, Dave. Okay, I'm going back. Once you take your driving test, how do you notify like the DMV people? Okay, once you take your driving test, the state examiner will turn in your paperwork to the state. Within 30 days, you're going to get a notice. And then once you get this notice, you'll go to the DMV and take your picture. What do you do if your brakes fail? You have a heavy trailer. I would downshift into the lowest gear on the transmission. If it's a 5-speed, 5, slow down, 4, slow down, I would do each gear gradually. And I would gradually squeeze the brakes. And then I would try to get off to the dirt on the edge of the road. If I only have 30 hours, do I need to make another 20 up? You have to have 30 hours to get into this. You have to be 16 and a half, 50 hours. So you need 20 more hours. How long should I avoid driving with friends? It depends on when you feel comfortable. The way the rules are, they discourage you having a bunch of friends in the car because we're all social. And if your parents are really watching you, they'll say you don't need to be with your friends in the car. So that depends on you and your parent. But the more people you have in the car, the more likely you are to crash. I'm looking for more questions. It's your class. If I'm busy the day of the driving test, can it be rescheduled? If you set up an appointment, you should really try to show up for the appointment. What's more important? Your driving test? Your driving test should be number one, but you have to make that decision. If you made an appointment, you need to call early in advance and cancel. Because these people have scheduled, okay, I have a block of time at 10 o'clock in the morning. I have a 10 o'clock. I have an 11 o'clock. I have a 2 o'clock, 3 o'clock, 4 o'clock. If you can't make that time, call early. They may charge you. Because if you keep canceling, that tells me you're not serious. Uh, 17. You get your full license, 17. No tickets, no restrictions. You can drive at night. You can have as many people in the car as you want. But your parents are still going to keep you really close because they're paying the bills. You don't have your own car. You're not paying insurance. You live under their roof. They're going to tell you what to do. I know, you're grown up. You're telling them, no, you're not. So your parents are still going to tell you what to do, which as they should do. Even when you get married and have kids, you know what? Your child does not smell clean. Mom? You want your mom to lie? Nope. Son, your car needs brakes. Thanks, Dad. You want your parents to tell the truth, right? I didn't set up an appointment with my mom. So you should wait until you get your return email. Don't try to make an appointment next week. 3 days to a week. It could be 12 days. So wait until you get the return email. What's going to happen? You're going to take your test. I drop it off at the main office. They're going to process it, check attendance, check everything. Then they're going to issue your Segment 2 digital certificate. Then if you're 16 and have 50 hours, you're eligible to take your road test. If not, you're going to keep driving. How many mistakes? At our location, 20, I'll tell you right now, 25. After 25. To obtain a passing score, you cannot accumulate more than 25 points. Is it true you take our road test with your parents? You cannot, your parents can't tell you what to do. It's true. If I'm already 17, when I take the test, do I get it immediately? No. You still have to turn in your hours. You don't get it immediately. No. You have to find an authorized road test in your area. I would Google. Good question. You do have to be 16 to take your driving test and have 50 hours. Or some of you may be 17 and only have 45. Or some of you could be 18 and only have 39. Good question. Flashcards do help. If you're trying to practice for the test, flashcards help. Kahoot helps. Quizzy help. I have some of those proprietary things that I always prep my students with, and I think we're going to have time tonight to review. Your parent will be in a car with you. They sit in the back seat. The road tester sits in the front. Your parent cannot say anything. Are there 6 points in the parking? Yes. You've been studying. So you could fail before you get on the road if you can't parallel park. And that's what this class is for. Parallel park. This is to, it should focus. It's not going to focus. There it is. That's the parallel park. If you can't parallel park, you're wasting time. There are 3 types of parking. Parallel park. Give me a second. The stop line. This is the stop line. If you go past the line, you'll get a minus. And then the reverse park, like backing in your driveway. If you can't do a stop line, reverse park, and parallel park, you won't get your license. You'll fail. You'll get past 6 points. They'll say, thank you, reschedule. So you got to know how to parallel park. You got to know how to stall park. There are different, and that's what this is for. You'll be driving in neighborhoods. You'll drive on residential streets. You'll merge on the expressway. You'll make left turns, right turns. You'll make a lane change. They'll ask you some questions. You'll make left turns, varying degree of difficulty. You'll make right turns, various degree of difficulty. Intersections that involve stopping, going straight through. Intersections that involve driving straight through without stopping. Expressway or rural highway, depends on where you live. If we live by a rural highway, you will go on a rural highway. If we live by an expressway, you will go on the expressway. Again, that's what this class is for. Ask your questions. Collision avoidance, they'll ask you a question about that. Curves, railroad crossings, you got to look left, right, left. You have to attain a passing score of no more than 25. If you get over 25, you fail. You're crying, your mom and dad is like, you don't listen. Turns, you got to recognize the need to turn in advance. You got to stop behind the stop line. You got to yield to pedestrians. If your car hits a curb, automatic failure. If you run a red light, automatic failure. If you make a right turn on red, automatic failure. You must yield to traffic. Check traffic in all directions. If you fail the road test, 24 hours. You have to wait 24 hours. Then you can retake it. But let's talk about passing. Any tips on parallel parking? Practice in your neighborhood. Get 2 trash cans out. I've completed my requirements. Bye. Is there a time limit on the parking section? No. You can take all the time you want. Good question. During the railroad crossing, should I stop and look? You want to slow down and look left, right, left. Good question. What is the hardest turn to make? Left turn. You're turning in front of oncoming traffic. Now the questions are getting serious. There are 3 types of parking on the road test: parallel, stop line, and reverse blind spot back in. If you've been watching me, you got it. And I will help you once I see you in person. Expressway, you got to merge on, check blind spot, keep going. You'll get on, you'll get off. Your car can't have a cracked windshield. Headlights must work, tail lights, proof of insurance, registration. You got to have all of your paperwork. So if you don't have your segment 2, can't. If you don't have 60 hours, can't take it. The test takes about 35 to 45 minutes. Good question. The question is, Olivia, you have to stop first on red. And if there's a sign there, you can't turn on red. If there's no sign, you still need to stop and look left, right, and left for pedestrians. So the tester wants to see if you understand and create a safe environment. I'm glad you're asking these questions. Can you use the backup cameras? Some don't care, but you need to look out because you're going to be backing. I'm trying to balance my book. Give me 1 second. On the parallel park, focus. On the parallel park, using your backup camera won't help you. Look out your back window because if you hit 3 or 4 cones, you guessed it, you failed. So you got to work on the parking. Is it harder to get on or off the expressway? It's harder to get on. because you got to judge traffic. You got to look over your shoulder. You got to pick up speed.